And are you refreshed?
Yes.
Good. Now what? Where shall we take this leading edge conversation?
Thank you. The wholeness in me greets the wholeness in you. And I have loved what you were saying in the opening about remembering who we really are and celebrating that wholeness. And I see the world and consciousness a lot, the hub of the wheel being that divine love, which you so eloquently talked about, unconditional love. And I'm one spoke in that wheel. And everyone here is a spoke. And to live that spoke. And what I would really love to really celebrate this interconnection today is with a rampage of that remembrance, raising that vibration of wholeness so that these definitions of love, which can be convoluted, as you said, with words and feeling, that it anchors, as my friend Diana had in the Mexican cruise, to a cellular level, remembering that we're God, we are love. We kind of are always in the vortex. We just don't remember at times. I mean, because we're whole in our essence. So that rampage of, oh, you're whole, I love you.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because a rampage, adding more words to an out of the vortex moment actually is not necessarily the best way to go about it. And so we left the conversation just now with the idea of deconstructing thought. In other words, reaching to the vibrational level rather than the thinking level. And the crux of that really is, we touched on it a little bit earlier today when we were talking about when you're focusing on anything, the more you focus upon it, the more detail you give to it, the stronger the vibration of it becomes. And so over a lifetime, many people have developed strong patterns of thought, which a good word for that is a belief. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. But we want to talk about the reason you keep thinking the thought. In other words, there is a reason that somebody continues to think a thought, because we don't think that you keep thinking the thoughts because you've got flashcards in your pocket. We don't think you're carrying around belief cards that, in other words, I have a belief in not enough money and I will keep it alive by practicing, by reading this card every day. And so the beliefs that so many people have, that they keep active, that they don't mean to keep active, it's not because they're deliberately practicing the thought, it's because they have thought enough thoughts like it that they have developed a vibrational pattern, a vibrational pattern. Let's call it a vibrational pattern for a little while rather than a thought pattern. And then let's deconstruct the thought to vibration a little further, and let's call it an emotional pattern. Let's call it a mood pattern. Let's call it an attitude pattern. In other words, isn't that sort of a deconstructing of thought? Now, our friend asked us just the most wonderful question a little bit ago about which comes first, the thought or the emotion. And we said, doesn't really matter which comes first, because the fact of it is, you've been thinking the thoughts long enough that you've developed the vibrational pattern enough, and the vibrational pattern has become your point of attraction enough that now other thoughts are coming, and so everything in your life is coming in response to all of that. So let's deconstruct that. Let's break that down. And the way you break it down is by by becoming less detailed about the things that don't feel good and more detailed about the things that do feel good. So you're breaking down the thoughts that don't feel good while you're making more specific the thoughts that do feel good. So when we do a rampage of appreciation, we always feel the attitude of the audience in relationship to their source, because to rampage, if they're not in the vicinity, isn't helpful to anyone. So if we're deconstructing thought rather than rampaging, what we're actually doing is developing a mood on purpose and then trusting that law of attraction will offer. In other words, we want the rampage to be inspired, not contrived. We want to have deconstructed the thought enough that the emotion and the vibration are central, and then law of attraction brings the pattern of thoughts to it that matches it, you see. Make sense to you?
Yes.
So do you think it's too early in this gathering for a rampage? In other words, earlier it was more appropriate than it is now. In other words, we took a little nosedive during the last gathering, vibrationally speaking. Don't you feel it?
Yes.
In other words, didn't you feel better in the first segment than you did in the second segment? Yes. Didn't we get detailed in terms of thought? Didn't it begin to feel hard and awkward? Didn't you honestly think to yourself, kill me now?
Well, not exactly.
Just for a moment. Just for a moment. In other words, so to add more conversation to something that already feels a little out of whack, it doesn't make things feel better, does it? It's time to sort of deconstruct some thought. That really is the point of meditation, of the getting into the vortex meditation. It's really the point of so much that we are talking about. So we're going to deconstruct thought here for just a moment, rather than rampage, which is a deliberate constructing of thought. And when you're not in the mood for it, don't do it. Don't do it. In other words, so what you're ready for is a respite. What you're ready for is a relief. What you're ready for is for the energy to slow down a little bit. What you're ready for is to come into alignment with who you are. So just relax and listen to us here, and we're going to deconstruct some thought together so that you'll get the sense of what we're talking about.
Okay.
So nothing matters very much. You need to be quiet.
Okay.
Nothing matters very much. There isn't anything really that I have to do right now. I'm not going to figure this all out today. I'm not going to figure it all out ever. I don't need to figure it all out. I didn't come to figure it all out. I didn't come to figure it out and tell anybody else what I'd figured out. Nothing matters very much. There's probably some reason for my existence. I'm really not sure what it is. I've tried a lot of things and I'm kind of tired. Nothing matters very much. I'm glad that nothing matters very much. I'm glad that there isn't anything that I need to figure out right now. I wonder if anybody's figured it out. Probably not. I wonder if I was sent here to figure it out. I don't get the sense I was sent here to figure it out. I like to think about why I am here. I'm sure that it's not about finding the perfect thought or the perfect life. Sensing it's about feeling good. I like the idea of feeling good. It feels good not to try to figure it out. It feels good not to have to figure it out. It feels good not to care if anybody figured it out. It feels good to realize that there's not one final thought, that there's not even one triumphant thought. It feels good to think about the evolution of thought. It feels good to think about expansion. It doesn't feel good to think about not following the expansion, but it feels good to generally think about expansion. It feels good to contemplate that maybe being here has something to do with that expansion. I don't think that I'm supposed to force expansion. I like the idea of expanding. I like getting hold of ideas that feel good. I like following out an interesting thread. I like good feeling thoughts. I'm glad I don't have to monitor thought. I'm glad I don't have to sift through all of the thoughts. I like contemplating that there is a natural point of beingness that will draw to me just the right thought. I like thinking that the source within me has found that balance. I have a sense that when I strike a balance with the source within me, I'll be in the perfect place of thought. I'm pretty sure that well-being is the basis of everything that came before me. I feel that the root of source is that of benevolent well-being. So it's logical to me that I'm an extension of that. I've thought a lot about trying to find my perfect place in order to prove that well-being, and it was always frustrating and confusing, and I'm glad I'm not thinking there anymore. It's easier just to accept my well-being than to try to justify it or prove it through thought or through conversation or through votes from others. It's easier to just accept my natural sense of well-being. I can feel the rightness of that. I'm feeling lazy in my thought and yet satisfied in it. It feels good to just slow it down and not try to figure it all out. I'm not being particularly profound right now or intelligent even, really. I don't think this is the moment I should try to write a book. But it does feel good to recognize that I don't have to figure it all out right now, and that I'm not ever going to figure it all out. It's fun to interact with others, and I like doing things because I want to do them. I am gently leaving behind me feelings of responsibility and replacing them with feelings of enthusiastic intertwining. I'm beginning to get the sense that we are all here, especially me, but we are all here for the satisfaction in it, for the fun of it, for the thrill of it, for the good of it. I like the thought that I'll never get it done when I think about not having to get it done. And I like the thought that I cannot get it wrong when I don't try to compare it with everything and figure out what is right and wrong. So I never get it done and I cannot get it wrong. I never get it done and I cannot get it wrong. I really like that. I'm never going to get it done, and I can't get it wrong. So if I can't get it wrong, then I'm not here to figure out how to get it right. And if I'm not here to figure out how to get it right, then I don't have to figure out what's right and what's wrong. So I wonder why I'm here. It must just be for the good feeling of it. It must just be for the satisfying feeling of it. It must just be for the contentment of it. It must just be for the well-being of it. It must just be for the satisfaction of it. It just must be for the fun of it. It must just be for the pleasure of it. It must just be. I'm pretty sure that I'm here because I am a really worthy, really good person who isn't ever going to get it done and isn't being measured about how well I'm getting it done. Ooh, I like this. This is a vacation of sorts. It is a freedom from responsibility. It is a freedom from needing to do something. And in the absence of needing to do something, I'm sort of starting to want to do some things. I like fun, and I like to play, and I like smart people, and I'm interested in different things. And it's nice to know that there is no curriculum that has been laid out for me. I like this general sense that I'm here and it's there for me to choose from, and whatever I choose is all right. It's logical to me that I didn't just begin when I began. It's logical to me that I'm an extension of something. And it feels to me that that something that I'm an extension from, right now, it feels like it's a secure thing. When I look at little kids, especially little babies, they seem secure to me. They seem like they know their well-being. And right now, I'm feeling like I know my well-being. It's like, here I am, I'm fully functioning. Some would even call me an adult. And in this very moment, I feel free of needing to do stuff or needing to think of stuff. I feel free of needing to be responsible. It's like I've had this little rampage within myself where I've deliberately stayed away from shoulds and shouldn'ts, and I think I've sort of found a place of just natural well-being. And so I wonder how long I can stand in this place of natural well-being and feel this good. It feels like a relief, because just a little bit ago I was trying so hard to figure things out that I got my brain twisted into a knot. And now, not trying to figure it all out, I'm feeling some relief from all of that. And I'm also, along with this relief that I've discovered in realizing that I don't have to do anything, I'm starting to feel just a tiniest little bit of boredom. because I've let a lot of what has driven me be the responsibilities that I've just now deliberately deconstructed. And so now I don't quite know what to do, because there isn't anything that I'm supposed to do. There isn't anything that I should do. There isn't anything that I have to do. There are no hoops to jump through. And there's no one noticing whether I'm jumping through the hoops or not either anyway, except others who completely lost their way and are using screwy criteria in order to judge whether I jump through the hoops. And I got so tired of jumping through the hoops that no longer jumping through the hoops is pleasing in some ways, but now I sort of don't quite know what to do with myself, because there is nothing that I'm supposed to do and nothing that I should do. And so I wonder if I'm here to find things that I want to do. I like the idea of that, of finding something that I want to do. What do I like doing? I like not being in a hurry. I like funny people. I like seeing new things. I like having lots to choose from. I like being on a planet where there is a lot of variety. I like humanity. I adore the flora and fauna of this planet. Really like the open sea. I really like coming from the open sea into some beautiful island. I like the way the land and the sea mix together. I like the sky. I like waking up in the morning. I like the sun coming up. I like the sun going down. I like the nature that surrounds me. I like the well-being of this planet. I like the way this planet spins in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets. I like being a part of all of this. I like thinking about what my part in all of this is. I like knowing that there is so much about that well-being that I don't have to consider, that I don't have to tend to. I like knowing that the well-being just is. I like discovering my part. I like realizing that my part must surely be in the interest that calls me. I like knowing that there are interesting things out there. I like the feeling of waiting until I feel interested and then following that interest. I like speculating that maybe I could really live a complete life of letting go of the shoulds and the have-tos and the need-tos and the commitments and just following the want-tos and the what feels good. I feel that that's the way that my inner being is. My inner being refuses to focus upon things of responsibility. My inner being won't go there with me when I get specific on a lot of things. I can feel that my inner being stays in a very general place. It's like my inner being has deconstructed thought and has just put a blanket of well-being over everything. My inner being doesn't have to consider the rightness or the wrongness of the way that person looks or talks or dresses or lives. My inner being just loves them, loves them, loves them, loves them, loves them. My inner being has found a way of deconstructing the details of thought and finding the essence of who my inner being is, and then just flows that feeling of well-being over everything. I think I might like to do that. I think I might like to be in this general place of well-being where I am less opinionated, less comparison of opinions, and more feeling, more deeply feeling. I'm going to enjoy this sort of deconstructing of thought. I'm going to use fewer words and offer more emotion. I'm going to look at the people I love and I'm going to convey to them what I mean through thought and through emotion and through silence and through body language and through touch and through smile and not so much through words. I am going to be who I am. And who I am is cool. Who I am is sure. Who I am is knowing. Who I am is happy. Who I am is love. Who I am is well-being. Who I am is energy. Who I am is someone who has been talking way, 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 way too much. I've been talking too much. I've been thinking too much. I've been comparing too many thoughts. I've been putting too many words to too many thoughts. I've been caring too much about what you think about me, and I've been using so many words to convince you who I am when you're not really interested. Anyway, I was just interested in you knowing who I am, but I'm going to approach it by deconstructing thought. I'm going to approach you knowing who I am by talking less about who I am and just being who I am. I think you can tell who I am. We're standing in your shoes as we're expressing this. I think you can tell who I am more by my laughter than by my conversation. I think you can tell more who I am by my smile than through my conversation. I think you can tell more who I am by how I'm feeling than by what I possess. I think you can tell more who I am by my emotional expression than by my physical possession. I think you can tell more in the deconstructing of thought. That makes what I own irrelevant, where I live irrelevant, where I've been irrelevant, where I'm going irrelevant. What is relevant is how I feel right now. And how I feel right now is free. How I feel right now is whole.
Yes.
How I feel right now is soothed. How I feel right now is sort of free floating. Who I feel right now, I'm sort of a mindless, pointless, goalless, challengeless, happy being.
Yes. Yes.
Hardly worth the money, was it?